How are we looking, Karen? Should we give it another couple minutes?
I would say go ahead and start, Amanda, at 6:35.
Absolutely. Yep.
So kick it off.
Cool. All right. So welcome everybody. I'm Amanda Cruz and I live just on the north side of Raleigh up in Roseville with my husband and two kiddos. We are mobile home park investors. If we haven't chatted before, happy to have you here. Run through a couple of things, admin first, and then we have Justin Ligon tonight, who is an NC RIA member himself, and he's going to talk about a multifamily case study over in Charlotte. And so this is a pretty new project, so we're excited to hear how he found it and what he did with it and what everything is with that. For the admin side, as far as the main meetings, we have Bill Cook coming in October. If you haven't seen Bill, he's a very engaging speaker. He's insanely good at creative deal structuring. And so he's going to be talking about what's good with sort of the changing market right now and what structures we should be looking at for that. In November, it's a Battle of the Investors panel, where we'll have people from different types of real estate investing, from flippers to landlording, wholesaling, or buy and holds, and say, hey, what is the best strategy, and kind of have a panel on that. So that should be fun. And then December is the holiday party, and it looks like the cost is only $10 for that. And I guess basically free if you show up in festive attire. So that's more fun anyways. And the holiday party is usually a good time, and definitely a good time, obviously, to network with different people in the organization. So save the date for that on December 2nd. There are intensive seminars. So NC RIA is part of a broader RIA group. And because of that, they have intensive seminars about twice a month. And it basically becomes a very cost-effective way to learn. And the last one in September was on how to do subject 2 correctly. And there will be another one announced soon. So, check on that. And even if you sign up and you aren't able to go to the Zoom meeting on that day, you still get all of the information. So you can go back and watch it on your own time. And it's usually pretty inexpensive. So a good way, if there's something you want to learn about, even if you can't actually go that day, you can still register and get all the information. The estimating repairs workshop. So this is always a big hit, and it's actually sold out now for October 7th and 8th. So if you were hoping to go check out the next one, I think we've had a couple so far, right? So will there be another one maybe in the spring of next year?
Yes, we are definitely going to do one. It may end up being in Charlotte, because quite frankly, this one was supposed to be for our Charlotte, but we ran into some things that we didn't know in Charlotte, such as NASCAR, NFL. So it just became a crazy time. But we will definitely be doing one.
Awesome. Okay, so check that out if you're interested in estimating repair costs. Prep wholesaling class. So this is coming up in just a few weeks, starting October 21st, and it's limited to members. So as long as you're an NC RIA member, you can attend. And it's learning wholesaling by actually doing it, by actually making seller calls and actually going through the entire thing. There are 3 ways to participate. Everybody's encouraged to be a full participant, and then it's actually more expensive if you don't want to be making seller calls and all of that, because the board obviously wants people to be engaged in really learning how to do it. So if you thought about wholesaling or you're interested in doing it and hands-on learning, you can check that out. Classes start October 21st. And if you are open to being an NC RIA board member, especially for technology and public relations, email Kathy. Her email is kathy@ncria.com for an application. And that would be a great way to volunteer and get to know others. And we have a podcast. So NC RIA has a podcast, and you can get that wherever you listen to any other podcast. And if you are interested in being interviewed, you can reach out to be interviewed on that as well. Send photos to photos@ncria.com. So anything you're working on related to real estate, it doesn't have to be an NC RIA event, but updates on your rehab projects, what you have going on, if you sold something, if you wholesaled something, if you are attending a meeting or a seminar or a conference or anything, you can send those to photos@ncria.com, and they'll be posted because we have somebody now handling social media. And we do have organizations that we partner with. So Burr Loans has a special consideration for NC RIA members. They have fix and flip, rehab, short-term rental, long-term rental, and bridge loans. And you can actually scan the barcodes right on the screen here if you're interested to get an application and learn more. And for connected investors, especially Karen loves connected investors. I know she's a big user of it. And the people, especially Karen, who formed this relationship, really believe that this is the best investor platform out there. And so NC RIA really wants to make sure people learn how to use connected investors. It turns out a lot of people might buy softwares like this or platforms like this and then never learn how to use them effectively. So they use them for 60 days or so and then drop them. And so NC RIA is really invested in having members understand how to use the platform. So there's actually a monthly Zoom call. It's a subgroup just for understanding connected investors. And again, you can scan that code. You can scan that to figure out what exactly you can get and to learn more. And there are 2 new subgroups. The Wake Forest subgroup is going to meet the first Monday of each month starting next week. So in just a few days, and that's going to be at Real McCoy's. And it looks like there's a Lake Gaston subgroup coming soon as well. So if you're interested in that one, you can email Kathy at NC RIA. And of course, you can always look at the NC RIA calendar. There are a ton of monthly meetings each month. So take a look at what's available, go to the ones that make sense for you. And here's just the list of all of them, both in person and virtual. Okay, as far as who's got what, does anybody have a deal or a need that this group can help with? All right. Well, you can always bring those to the meetings if there's something you're looking for, or if you have a deal that you want to partner on or something like that, you can always bring those to the meetings. And then as the last piece of admin stuff, so I've been running the commercial subgroup for a little bit over a year now since we started it, and it has been great. And also given my own investing and just having a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, I've decided not to take it on in 2023, but we'd really, really like to keep this subgroup going. It's had a good amount of participation so far. So if anybody is interested in leading the subgroup, it's just finding out what people want to hear about, reaching out, getting speakers, ping me about it or email me hello@voyageinvesting.com, and we can talk about getting you set up for 2023. All right, with that, Justin, go ahead and take it on. I'll be monitoring the chat, and feel free to ask questions there or kind of throughout. Oh, Robert, it sounds like you have a property you want to assign. Do you want to just mention a little bit about that quickly?
Yeah, sure. I can. So I've had a small mobile home park under contract for a while. I've been waiting to close on it because it's one of the owners actually lives in the park. But yeah, it's down here in Fayetteville, and it's off Ridge Road. It's 4 I'm sorry, 5 lots, 4 trailers. So 1 vacant lot. It's on well and septic, and there's 2 vacant trailers on the property, and it looks like there's enough room uh, on the 1 acre lot to add more trailers if that's something that someone's interested in. You can go to shortsleevesrealestate.com and put your information there. And well, I'll just put it here in the chat, the link to it, if that's okay.
Great. Cool, perfect. Thank you, Robert. All right, Justin, go ahead, and I'll be monitoring the chat. If anybody has any questions.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. My name is Justin Ligon. I am a multifamily investor. And once again, thank y'all for having me. Do want to apologize if my voice is going a little in and out. Have been a little bit under the weather, but we will do our best to get through it. So this evening, I'm going to be sharing with you a deal I did. It was my first multifamily deal, Charlotte North Apartments, which despite its name is actually in Sanford, North Carolina, but it's on Charlotte Avenue, and it had always been called Charlotte North Apartments, and we decided to stick with the name. So just real quick, a little bit about me. So currently, I'm working as a construction manager for a company called Eller Capital Partners. We're a apartment ownership group based out of Chapel Hill. We own apartment communities across the Carolinas. And so I'm responsible for developing and executing our CapEx plan. So basically, the construction guy who's in charge of renovating any of the apartments we buy. So previous to that, I had also some additional experience in multifamily renovation, working for a general contractor, First Choice Construction, and also for Cortland Partners. And before that, I was actually in the business as a property manager and was on the management operations side. So been a NCREA member, and before that, TRIA member since about 2012. Also done about 15 plus deals up until this deal, mostly single family homes, flips, did some single family rentals as well. I'm a licensed general contractor. Also got to give a shout out to my alma mater, of course. So go Hokies. I'm a veteran as well. So we'll start with finding the deal. So back in 2020, I was ready to try to move to something a little bit bigger than single family homes, and felt there was probably going to be some opportunity in the market, just given all the COVID craziness and the eviction moratoriums, and I figure there are probably some people that were looking to probably get out some of their properties. So I was mainly looking for off-market deals, and so I started a direct mail campaign focusing on mostly some triangle submarkets and then a few markets in eastern North Carolina. So I was really focusing on solely multifamily properties with four units or more, and ideally targeting owners who had the property for a while. Just so they've already got the idea being if they have substantial equity in it, they're probably more interested in selling versus someone who's only in the place for a few years. So my response rate on the campaign was about 3%, which was not too bad for a direct mail campaign. And eventually I linked up with a owner of an 8-unit apartment building in Sanford. We started talking. I got some of the preliminary information from them, and just real basic rent roll. And we negotiated and ultimately arrived at a purchase price of $305,000. So just a little bit more about the apartment. So a real simple, basic ranch style building, built in '91. It's located about 7 blocks from the main downtown area in Sanford, North Carolina. Unit mix was 7 2-bedroom, 1 baths, and then a 1-bedroom, single one bedroom, 1 bath. So at the time when we signed the purchase and sale agreement to get it under contract, we had one unit vacant. At closing, there were 3 units vacant, which we'll go into a little more on that in a bit. And the average rents were about $480 a month per unit. So very, these are very, very basic apartments, very, very affordable, but also had quite a bit of deferred maintenance and as well. So.
Well, hey, couple questions on finding the property that we're getting in. Can you talk a little bit about the direct mail campaign that you did? Like, how many pieces did you mail over, how much time? And then where did you, get the info for the direct mail campaign?
Yeah, sure. Those are some great questions. So I got the information through, I believe I used ListSource. I mean, there's a number of, different companies out there, but I use ListSource. I can't remember how much it was. I think, maybe 20 or 30 cents a lead, but, I just built used some of my criteria that I mentioned, as far as, what size of unit, type of owner, and just kind of narrowed it down to the, a few markets that I like. So, I think that my first campaign, I think I probably mailed out about 800 or so letters, and then basically waited about 30 days or 45 days, and then sent out another round of follow-up letters as well. So, and as it ultimately, I did get some good responses, ended up with one deal from that campaign. Ended up doing another mailing campaign about 6 months later. Was not successful with anything on that one. So, but the first one worked out. So,
What did your letter say in it?
I played around with a few different versions, but basically, just that I was looking for properties in their area and through public records. Found that you had an apartment, and then just kind of hit the normal high points. We'll take the property in any condition, very flexible, on closing terms, just that kind of thing. And basically, or if you had a question about what your property was valued at, just love to talk to you, kind of thing. So, and I played around with the format, and ultimately kind of settled on a favorite, depending on what kind of response I was getting. So.
Cool, thank you. And I know Jackie called out that Connected Investors is a great source for lists as well for anybody.
There you go. Yep.
Connected Investor. Cool. All right. Thanks, Justin.
So once I had the property under contract, that was when the real work began. So started with basically auditing all the documents that we received from the seller. Looked over the rent roll, all the leases, went through all the expenses, receipts, tax filings, just to make sure if the financials checked out. Also at this point, I brought on a partner. So it was a friend of mine who has done some smaller multifamily deals as well. Was also looking for, second set of eyes on the deal, but also an equity partner. So deal we worked out, my partner was going to pay bulk of the acquisition fee, and then the renovation operations, we were going to split, those capital contributions were 50-50, and then overall just a straight 50-50 split on the equity in the deal. So also, as part of the due diligence process, did a property inspection. The property inspector inspected all 8 units. Also began applying for financing. We talked to a few large institutional commercial lenders, and ultimately settled on one where we, terms we ended up getting, they would lend 80% loan to value, 3.7% interest on a 20-year AM with 5-year balloon. So, which is pretty standard commercial loan terms.
When did you close on this?
So yes, so we had it under contract. I believe it was in March of 2021. And so we closed in May of 2021. So it took about 60 days to close it, mostly waiting on the appraisal. So which was, I think, almost 40 days at that point. So luckily those timeframes have come down. But so the property appraised for, the bank put it, valued at 325 to 335. So, getting at 305, we felt pretty good about that. So we were getting a good deal, not a crazy deal, but a pretty solid one. At this point, we also started interviewing property managers, selected that, and then just from our inspection, we did have a few repairs, that we ended up asking the owner to do, things like a very active, like an active sink leak. There's an electrical issue, but pretty minor stuff that the seller, really didn't have any issue completing that. So closing and acquisition. As I've mentioned, purchase price was 305. Our total acquisition cost, which was mostly the down payment, but also just some of the attorney fees, inspection fees. So 66K was what we had to go to the table with at closing. And then the numbers below, just kind of a brief breakdown. These are the numbers, pretty much at closing. So we did, when we closed, we did have several units vacant. The seller had offered to put people in those units, but just with our business plan, we actually wanted the units vacant. And so we were okay with having a few vacant units when we closed. I'll go more into that on the next slide. So, but just, list out, our income, expenses, our net operating income, so, and debt service, and then cash flow. So it was cash flowing. These are annual, these are annual numbers as well. So it was cash flowing right about 8,000 a year. So our business plan, this was a value add business plan. We knew that this was priced very, the market rents in the area were much higher than what this place was charging. I don't think they probably could have charged a whole lot more just because the interiors were pretty rough. But after looking at some of the comps, we determined that we could substantially increase the value on the property, with a pretty in-depth renovation program. So, our plan was to go and renovate all 8 units over a 1-year period. We're looking to get about a 30 to 40% increase on our rents post renovation. The other way to maximize values, of course, is cutting your expenses as well. But the expenses were already fairly low, and so really just trying to make sure we manage those. Didn't need anything crazy. And then our plan was to refi or sale in 2 years. So renovation plan, just a few notes on the exterior. The exterior, we had actually very little to do. The property had a fairly new roof. Exterior siding was fine. Had a gravel parking lot that needed some attention, just a lot of potholes, and gravel has gotten pretty thin in some locations, but placing some light fixtures, just cleaning the place up a bit. So not a whole lot to do on the outside. And just a few photos from the building here from the front. And this is just a shot from the back of the building. Here's our renovation plan. And so we, originally I think it budgeted, around 8,500 a unit, but we ended up doing some additional work. And ultimately we ended up at right around $10,000 a unit. So for the units, we would go in and basically put in a whole new kitchen. We tear out all the old cabinets, new laminate tops, new appliance package. We did new LVP flooring throughout. Paint, of course, color change, and then light package, hardware package, plumbing package. Also did replace all the water shutoffs. That was one thing we didn't go in there and really necessarily planning to do, but decided to. All the main shutoffs were in really bad shape. We were having trouble shutting off water to the units, so we ended up replacing all those. Also, we replaced all the exhaust ducts for the dryers. A lot of the dryer vents used either the real flimsy, metal foil hoses, or some even use vinyl, which if you're not familiar with that, that's can be a pretty big fire risk, especially the way these were run from the dryer, ran up into the ceiling. And so a lot of these vents were clogged, and it's impossible to clean with that really thin material. So we went with a hard metal duct pipe just for safety and liability and maintenance reasons. So, and then in addition, each unit kind of had its own challenge. We had some mold remediation. We had a few exterior entry doors that had to be replaced. There's some cracked windows. The vanities, we were able to save some. We replaced some, kind of did that as needed, and then replaced a lot of the exhaust fans as well. A lot of those, the bathroom exhaust fans weren't working and were clogged, and that was leading to a few of the mold issues we had to deal with. So we'll take a look at a few of the units before, as we were getting them. So this is this is my favorite unit here. So I know what everybody's asking is why would you change this beautiful masterpiece? So, but this is just a little bit of what we were working with. So as you see, units are really basic, very small kitchen. There was a real interesting mix of flooring in the units. Not the person we purchased it from, but the previous owner before that owned a furniture store, and apparently would use whatever flooring they were using in their displays. And so we had an interesting mix. I think one of our units had either 5 or 6 different types of flooring, which is a lot for a 750 square foot apartment. So here's some more before photos. So this is what the bathrooms look like. As you see, like in a few of these, we had some mold issues that needed to be addressed. We ultimately kept the fiberglass surrounds and the toilets. Those are about the only things I think we kept in the units, other than a few of the vanities. A few more photos. This was after one of the move outs. You can see the cabinets are just falling apart. They had just been tacked back together over and over again. So another few shots, another one of the kitchen, another one of the bedrooms. And here's one of the after photos of one of our units. So you see we're able to add a little more, some extra cabinets, get a little more storage space in the kitchens, which were already very, very small. So these are very, more of an efficiency, style unit, very basic unit. But we did the LVP, used a click LVP product, and which I'm a big fan of. It's great for maintenance and upkeep. It get a lot more life out of it from versus carpet.
Did you do this work yourself, or did your team do it?
So we brought in a general contractor. It was actually a contractor that our property manager worked with, and was actually kind of the preferred contractor they used for a lot of the repairs and stuff. So, but we ended up bidding with sending getting bids from a few contractors, but we went with the one our property manager liked, who's also the pricing was competitive, and it's easy too. He's super familiar with the property. If anything breaks, which you haven't had much, it's usually under warranty, so he comes back and fixes it for free. And then anything else, he's very familiar with the property, and so. But yeah, so I did not swing a hammer on this one, but it was all done by all done by a contractor. So just a shot kind of the living room area, and another picture of the bedroom, and another bedroom, and then a shot of one of the bathrooms. So we were able to get everything renovated. within our goal was to have it done within 1 year. And we actually did much quicker than that. Our last unit completed in January of 22. It worked out pretty well overall. We had, when we first bought the property, we had 3 units vacant. So we immediately started renovating those. And then about, a month or 2 after we closed, we had 2 more units put in notices to leave. And also everybody that was there was also on month-to-month leases too. So we had 2 more people leave. So we had 5 of our units done pretty much by the end of the summer. And then the 3 remaining units, 2 of the, in which we lucked out, the residents that were there had been there a long time and were pretty good residents. And so 2 of the residents were able to transfer over to a renovated unit. So they ended up, we ended up increasing the rent to the market rate. We gave them an incentive. We threw in some free rent, but we were able to keep, 2 of those tenants. They moved out, and then we ended up having 1 person. We had to non-renew them. We ended up giving them, like, I think, a 90-day notice, and so we weren't able to keep them. But then but we got all 8 units renovated. So as of January, our average rent was $766 a month. So the 2 bedrooms were leasing for around $800. And then the 1 bedroom was I think around $600 or $650. And that pulls the average down a bit, but that was, much higher than our pro forma. And so our original, kind of exit, strategy was to do a refi or sale, in 2 years. And a lot of that was we wanted to wait till we had a full year, just to season the property, have a full year at the higher rates, also to have a tax return as well. But with the interest rates started rising this spring, we decided, we wanted to go ahead and do a refi. After talking to lenders, it turns out they didn't care about seasoning as much as we thought. In fact, they really were only concerned with, what the current rents were and what our rent roll was. So we based our refi and kind of on a valuation of 650, which was pretty conservative. We ended up talking to several lenders and ultimately ended up just staying with the lender who had our first mortgage on the property. But the bank appraisal ended up coming back at 730,000. So that was from 305 to 730, and at the span of a year. So instead of doing a full cash out refi, we ended up doing a second mortgage, which kept our overall rate lower, because at that point rates were already pushing up above 5%. So we wanted to keep that the original rate. But by doing the second mortgage at 5.5, that still brought our total effective rate to around 4.7. So, and it allowed me and my partner to pull everything out and then some, so we could go and do more deals. So before we refied, we had our monthly cash flow was a little over $2,000 a month. But after the refi, that when we increased the amount of money we had in the loan, that cash flow dropped to about $1,000 a month.
And is that couple questions on that slide, Justin, if you don't mind going back?
Sure.
Just me wondering, is that cash flow total, right? And then you and your partner split 50-50, or is that for each of you?
That was split between us. Yep. So.
Cool. Jackie's asking, did you have to pull permits for the renovations that you did?
We did not. I think everything was mostly, cosmetic in nature. So we felt comfortable not pulling permits on this. To get really technical about it, some municipalities they're really strict. They could have required it for changing out a light fixture or some of the plumbing, but most places usually aren't too too aggressive as far as permitting for really light plumbing or light electrical. So but no, we did not pull permits on this project.
And then what was the initial average rent when you bought it?
Was 480, around 480 a unit.
Cool. Awesome, thank you.
So here's just some final numbers, kind of on the property. And also, I don't know if I mentioned, but the refi, our second mortgage, we closed on that back in August. So this was all relatively recent. So, but here you can see, I was partner one, and I had the other partner two, so our refi, we pulled 250 out, that we split, between us. I've got our capital contributions there, which that was basically everything that each of us had put into the property for either, acquisition fee or for reserves, or for, the biggest chunk was for the renovation cost. And then, that's have the payout. So that's, what we had after reimbursing for everything we put in. And so that, and then just a 1 year, it was roughly about a year from all together close to close. So there's a rough ROI, we had on what we had off our original investment. If I worked in some of the distributions we took earlier this year, it would probably go up a little bit, but we mostly were just rolling the money right back into the property for the renovation. So, and then on the right side, you've got, just so the property value, the appraisal came back 730, and got the updated rental income. As you can see, pretty much doubled the rental income, double the property value, roughly. That the new NOI, our debt service is much higher. One of the options we did look at was not taking that second mortgage and just staying, with higher cash flow. But me and my partner both wanted to be able to, pull the money out, reinvest it, and do more deals like this one. So. And so before taking questions, here's my information. So if anybody has any questions about multifamily project you're looking at, or especially anything renovation wise, that's multifamily renovations kind of my thing. But also love to talk real estate, so be happy to grab coffee or anything. And also I'm pursuing a number of other multifamily deals, looking at some bigger projects. So, if anybody's looking to get in, get involved, and I'm always looking for, new partners and for equity partners. So, it's something you're interested in doing, would love to hear from you as well. So, I think that's really about all I had for my case study. So, appreciate y'all letting me share, and I guess we'll open it up to any questions.
Janae is asking, what do you look for in a property manager?
Experience would be, be the big thing. Making sure you've got a manager who's experienced with that asset class. There's some property managers that are really more focused on single family, some that do smaller multifamily, some that do larger. So that's the biggest thing is making sure they know what they're doing. And just making sure they have one of the things I rely on from property managers, making sure they've got a good a good base for vendors. They've got landscapers, they've got plenty of maintenance people, they've got a good electrician. That way if something goes wrong, they're going to be able to take care of the property, take care of the residents. So, and then also making sure too that they've got a good marketing plan. So knowing, okay, if we sign a contract on this, how are you going to market it? What is their online presence? How do they handle tours? Just that thing, and that kind of thing, and making sure they're not just, sticking a for rent sign out front and with the phone number and that's it. But, especially with the, making sure they have a good, understanding of online marketing, and making sure they've got a good online presence.
Cool. And Marty's asking, what percentage are you paying your property manager?
I believe we're at 8% off of the total revenue. So,
Does that
which is
include
pretty
lease
standard.
ups?
Yes, for us it does. They do charge, I think I think there's like a $50 fee they charge for each new lease. But other than that, it's just the 8%, which is fairly average.
Cool. Do you have any vacancies right now?
Nope, or 100%. We've been lucky. We've been able to keep everything pretty occupied. We haven't had too much turnover. We did have one resident who was creating a lot of issues with crime, and then they drove their car into the side of the building. So luckily nobody was hurt, and the damage could have been much worse. And luckily they had insurance, but luckily everybody else, all our other residents have been great. We had a little bit of turnover, but overall it's been pretty stable. So.
Cool. What other questions do we have for Justin? Awesome. I like to say commercial real estate's like Burr on steroids, and this is like a perfect example of that. Like you can Burr a single family house, but why bother when you can do it for an 8-unit or something bigger? So just a great case study here, Justin, of doing that and the work that you guys put in. So awesome job. Thank you for presenting. Hopefully people got a good amount out of that. And I think we have one more question. Sandra is asking, how easy or difficult was it to get funding for the property?
So it was actually a little bit surprising, and to get the commercial funding was really not as bad as I thought. In fact, I refinanced my house, my personal residence, about 2 years ago. Not a cash out refinance. I mean, it was a house I've lived in for 12 years, huge amount of equity, great credit. But I would say the refinance on my personal property was at least double the work of, what we had to do for the, for application packet for the commercial property. So, it's, there's going to be some red tape, and each lender is different as well. So, but as far as the commercial loan process, it was actually not too bad, despite the seller having not the best records, a lot of handwritten receipts and stuff. So it wasn't even a really easy one to as far as to audit as far as the documents. But at least so. But my experience on this was the commercial loan side wasn't too bad.
Cool.
I'll put
April,
out
do you
there
have-
too. There's a lot of the lenders and banks out there. I mean, these are the kind of assets they really want on their books. So there's a big demand. They want to get out loans on multifamily and commercial in general. So.
April, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. So Justin, it seemed like you have been in the commercial arena for quite some time. Have you ever done a new construction multi-unit, multifamily?
No. I've done some light, I guess you could say light new construction, like mostly like some maintenance buildings and gyms and accessory buildings. But almost all my experience has been on renovation, on the renovation side. So.
Okay.
Cool. Any last questions for Justin?
Well, thank you so much for the invitation, and yeah, thanks a lot, Amanda.
Yeah, thank you, Justin.
Great job, Justin.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I think I really like how approachable this is for anybody who's done this sort of thing in residential. Like 8 units is very approachable if you can do 1 or 2. So I love this case study. And then if anybody is interested in taking over as being the subgroup lead for commercial, it is on Zoom, so you don't have to find a venue or anything like that. Email me hello@voyageinvesting.com. And next month we have Tony Johnson coming. He's a commercial developer. I'm really excited to hear. I was meeting with him today on what he's going to go over, and it's a case study where he bought land with one warehouse on it, and he's building 3 additional out parcels or 4 additional out parcels to it. So it's industrial, which we haven't really had a case study on, and it's a mix of value add and even new construction. So I think there's going to be I told him if nobody has a question, I could ask questions about this for a full hour. So I think a lot of people are going to be really interested in what he has to say. So he'll be here next month in October. So till then, y'all have a good evening. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, guys.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
for coming.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. Thank
Thank you.
Oh.
Thanks, Justin. Great job.
Thank
You
you.
did an
Amanda.
awesome job, Justin.
Thank you so much.
I wish I'd done an apartment instead of condos. Here we go. I may still.
That's right. It's
Yeah,
either like it's successful or it's learning, right?
Uh-huh.
So you're
That's
learning in
true.
your condos right now.
I am learning.
Cool. All right, y'all have a good night.
thank
All right,
you.
good
Good
night.
night.
Good
Bye,
evening.
everybody.
Goodbye.